You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, Sanbonani, good morning, bonjour. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for joining us here on 702. I hope you're good this morning. The 702 open line starts now on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Is US President Donald Trump looking for an exit strategy to this war in Iran? That's the question on my mind after he announced yesterday that the US is postponing military strikes on Iranian power plants. Now remember, he issued a warning a few days ago on social media and said, and I quote, "If Iran doesn't fully open without threat the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours from this exact point in time, the United States of America will hit and obliterate their various power plants, starting with the biggest one first. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald Trump." That's what the president of the US said when he issued the warning a few days ago. And then, just hours before that deadline, he said those attacks on Iranian power plants will be postponed for 5 days. He said on social media that the US and Iran have had good and productive conversations over the past 2 days about a complete and total resolution of hostilities in the Middle East. In fact, this is what he said yesterday.
We're dealing with the man who I believe is the most respected and the leader. It's a little tough. We've wiped out everybody.
Is that the Supreme Leader?
No, not the Supreme Leader. We don't. Well, nobody heard of the second Supreme Leader, the son.
Are these direct?
Nobody. We have not heard from the son. Every once in a while, you'll see a statement made, but we haven't. We don't know if he's living. We're looking for all of the things that we've been talking about. We want to see no nuclear bomb, no nuclear weapon, not even close to it. Low key on the missiles. We want to see peace in the Middle East. We want the nuclear dust. We're going to want that. And I think we're going to get that.
Uranium.
We've agreed to that. Yeah, we've agreed to that.
You want the enriched uranium before you can end this war.
We want no enrichment, but we also want the enriched uranium. If this happens, it's a great start for Iran to build itself back, and it's everything that we want. And it's also great for Israel, and it's great for the other Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, all of them. Kuwait and Bahrain in particular, so it's great for all of them.
So that's what the US president said. Did you hear the beginning part of what he said? I mean, I don't know if the US knows for sure that they're speaking to the right people, because they think they're talking to someone who seems to be a top official in the Iranian regime, quote unquote. But did you hear what he said about who the US believes they're talking to?
We're dealing with the man who I believe is...
The man who I believe is... Huh? They're not sure. That man could or could not be a top legitimate Iranian official. He says it's a man I believe would be a top Iranian official. That's really fascinating. And then, after what he said yesterday, Iran came out and denied that it's in talks with the US. And of course, the Iranian administration could be lying here as part of their negotiating tactic. Or President Donald Trump could also be lying for whatever reason, because that's a part and parcel of war. It's not just about armory and artillery. It's about information. It's about messaging and how you position your messaging that that actually makes your country appear as strong. Now, I suspect that the US president is looking for an exit strategy. In fact, I think this could be an acceptance of defeat. Remember, the US was pinning its hopes on regime change. It was a bomb and hope strategy that they seemed to be going with Israel. Fire missiles, kill the Ayatollah, and the Iranians are going to rise up against the regime. But that has not really happened, has it? And now that the strategy didn't work, what's the fallback strategy? Is President Trump now trying to buy time? Does he now realize the economic catastrophe that would ensue globally if the US bombs Iranian power plants? I mean, his comments yesterday briefly sent the price of Brent crude oil benchmark down 13% to back below that $100 a barrel mark. So the risk President Trump runs is that if there's an attack on Iranian power plants, then Iran will retaliate by attacking countries who are supplying US bases across the Gulf region. Will the US be there to protect those countries? So this is a big calculation, and let's hope sanity will prevail over the next 4 days. What do you think is at play here? Do you think President Trump is serious about these intended strikes on Iranian power plants? Or is he looking for an exit strategy that would still position the US as strong? 011-883-0702. Send your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. Also, have you seen ActionSA is raising some concerns about the Democratic Alliance? They're asking questions about additional payments made to some senior DA leaders who also serve in government. So reports have revealed, as you've heard on EWN, that certain DA leaders receive monthly top-up payments from the party on top of their official government salaries. So ActionSA has now filed complaints with the Public Protector and Parliament's Ethics Committee. And what the party is alleging is that these payments may not have been properly declared and could be in conflict with the rules governing members of the executive. So the Constitution does state that members of the executive may not undertake other paid work. The complaint, though, argues that these top-ups could fall into that category. So does it mean that you, as a member of the executive, you can't be receiving additional payments from your own political party? That sounds a bit bizarre to me. And I'd like to know what you think. Like, do you believe that it is actually acceptable that John Steenhuisen or President Cyril Ramaphosa or Pak, whoever who still has a position within the ANC, should not be paid by the work that they do for the ANC or for the DA or for ActionSA or for whichever party? Does this warrant an investigation? Or do you think there must be stricter rules around public officials and how they can earn outside of their government salaries? To me, at a preliminary level, and I could be wrong here, this really sounds bizarre, what ActionSA is asking for. Because people who work in government belong to political parties. Fikile Mbalula is the Secretary General of the ANC, for instance. If he gets appointed the Minister of Arts and Culture or Sports or Health, he still remains the Secretary General of the ANC unless the ANC decides that, you know what, we want someone who's going to be permanently at Luthuli House, like they have in the past. You sit here. But if he can do both roles, that has been allowed. I mean, Cyril Ramaphosa is the president of the state and is the president of the ANC. So is the deputy president, Paul Mashatile. Gwede Mantashe, isn't he chair of the ANC? Are you telling me that there's no budget to the chair's office at Luthuli House just because he works for government? It looks a bit bizarre. I don't know if they've got a strong case here, but let me know what you think. You can call us or send us a WhatsApp voice note.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM.
Clement, I think it's fair to say that Trump went into this war without any sort of defined strategy. He thought it was going to probably be as easy as it was for him to bomb both Nigeria and Venezuela. And Another question that I have is that if he says that all the leaders are either dead or disfigured, who has he been negotiating with? That's the big question. I mean, Donald Trump sometimes lives in the world of his own. I came from Ramfontein.
Yeah, okay, you're asking such a key question. Like, he said, we have taken them all out. These are the top Iranian officials. So who are you then talking to? And that's why I pointed out to you that Donald Trump says, we're talking to someone that I believe is. Okay, so you don't know for sure that this person is actually representing the Iranian administration. You believe that person could. But also, if you've taken down all of their top officials, who is really this top official you're talking about? You must listen to actually what Jon Stewart said. I must find that clip for you. Jon Stewart, it's so brilliant. I'll find it for you in a moment. In fact, Abel, you've got it. Listen to what, and I thought this is such a brilliant analysis of, just in a subtle way, explaining what a funny moment, actually, what we're witnessing is. Listen to Jon Stewart on The Daily Show making a comment about what Trump announced yesterday.
Escalating tensions in the Middle East. I must applaud the president for stepping back from the cliff of escalation and engaging Iran in productive talks.
Iran has responded, its state media saying there are no talks.
Well, now we're in the uncomfortable position of who to believe. Normally in this situation, I think we'd all be inclined to, in some measure, not trust the pronouncements coming from this theocratic and corrupt regime. Iran. Talking about Iran. For clarity, I just want to, it's not Iran. We'd be inclined not to trust Iran. So let's give our president the benefit of the doubt and just probe a little deeper. Sir, you say we're having talks with Iran. Who did you talk to?
A top person.
A top person? Or the top person? The article really makes a huge difference here. Like, the guy? Or some f***ing guy?
It's a little tough. We've wiped out everybody.
So a lower level guy who's been elevated to a higher echelon, a bottom who is now a top, versatile, but not stop it. Or I will rip your stuffed monkey in half. So you're talking to a guy, but not the top guy, not the supreme leader.
No, not the supreme leader, but the people that seem to be running it.
Again, running it or seem to be running it. It's a big difference. Hey, where's our car? Oh, I gave it to the guy who seems to be the valet. He had a jacket, he was standing by the curb, seemed like a top guy, and he did take the car. What made you think he was the top guy when you had the talks with him?
Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner had them.
So you didn't even talk to them. Your guys, who quite frankly don't seem like top guys, talk to their seemingly somewhat top guy. Or Jared and Steve.
What a brilliant way to put it. Oh, this man is just so brilliant. You can go and watch the full clip. It was on The Daily Show, and I just thought it was so brilliant, just helping you understand just the nuance, the undertones here. It's important to listen to the language. Who are you negotiating with? If America says, oh, it's someone we think or who seems to be the top official, what do you mean? You're not sure? But also, you've killed all of them, remember? So who exactly are you talking to? It's like when Donald Trump announced last year, we've obliterated their attempts to build nuclear. They will never build it again. Remember the 12-day war in Iran? That's what Donald Trump said. We've obliterated their infrastructure. And yet this year, they go and bomb Iran because they said there was an imminent threat. How? You've obliterated their infrastructure. You said they will never be able to even build a nuclear weapon ever again or attempt to. Oh, it is so confusing. Sebastian, you're calling us from El Dorado Park. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Good morning, Clement.
Donald
Trump, on a tweet this morning, I read a tweet on Facebook that he said he had spoken to Jesus and Jesus' father is very happy that he's keeping America safe, and he's doing a great job. So I don't know, by speaking to Jesus, what does this man mean? Is God condoning this war and the killing of people? Because he says the Lord said he's doing a great job, and I was just like, really, on his Truth Social page, Donald Trump is not all there, Clement. I'm not sure whether he's got his faculties right. Seriously, the things and I'm scared of him. You know, the things he says sometimes they don't make sense. You know, somebody, once upon a time, this person is a great guy. As soon as somebody goes against him, they're no longer a great guy. They weak or they change.
In fact, he was close to Tucker Carlson. In fact, Tucker Carlson went to see him several times before this new wave of war in Iran. And Tucker Carlson was trying to get the president, please don't go to war. And as soon as Tucker Carlson started speaking out against the decision of the president to go to war, and then the president started really saying weird things about Tucker Carlson. When Joe Kent, who's the director of counterterrorism, I mean, that's the guy with probably one of the highest security clearances. When he comes out and says, I'm resigning because I can't justify this war in Iran, there was never an imminent threat. The president then says, oh, he was weak anyway. Really? So anybody who disagrees with you is a problem. Eunice, you're in Killarney. Hi.
Hi there, Clement. Clement, the question we need to ask is, can this man Trump be trusted? Because prior to this war, when they had talks in Oman, you would recall he said that talks are going very well with the Iranians. And 2 days later, he bombed Iran. So my question is, you know, whilst he's now talking a 5-day pause or whatever, within a few days, I mean, he can do anything. To me, this guy acts delusional. I can't understand who's his advisors. Obviously, his advisor is in Tel Aviv. That's the advisor who told him to attack Iran in the first place. But I don't trust Trump. And what I think is turning the tide here, they underestimated the Iranians. Because if you would recall, even in Israel, they've got the Iron Dome, they've got the David Sling, they've got the Arrow air defense systems. And the fact is the Iranian missiles and drones are penetrating that. If you saw over the weekend what happened in Damon and in Arad, in Damona and in Arad, you know, you could see the damage that was done there. So I think that is giving them a bit of fear. And by the way, while seeing in Arad there, having seen Gideon Saar and Benjamin Netanyahu, I was quite surprised. Both of them said the Iranians are now attacking civilians. I thought to myself, my God, Gideon Bibi, where were you in Gaza when you killed 100,000 women and children there? They're attacking civilians. So I nearly faint. And by the way, Clement, just in this war, you know, what is also interesting is not much, I mean, by the way, in Israel, but journalists are banned there from reporting, as you're well aware, right? But have you seen that the Iranians have brought down an F-15 stealth bomber? They shot it, and it came down, he made an emergency landing. So as much as the Americans are giving, they are getting just as much.
And they were not ready to be getting just as much, Eunice. That's why Trump even said, we were surprised. We didn't know they were going to attack the other Gulf countries. But yeah, that clip, I saw the clip that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, posted, I think it was yesterday, on Twitter. And he said Iran has proven again that it is the enemy of civilization and a danger to the free world, targeting children and families and the elderly with missiles. I read that and I was like, no ways. Is the irony there, is it really lost? This man wants to talk about Iran targeting children, families. Does he know what Israel has done in Gaza? And of course, that is completely unacceptable, to be targeting civilians. Of course it is. But when everybody was telling Israel, what did they say? They had justifications for that, didn't they? But no, nobody else can have justifications. It almost reminds you of America when they go to countries, whether it's Syria, Afghanistan, Libya, Iraq, anywhere else. There will always be justifications to go into those countries. But when Russian President Vladimir Putin goes and invades Ukraine, that justification doesn't matter. Why? Because only what? America's justifications are the ones that are correct? That can't be. It's 9:30.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
24 minutes before 10 o'clock. This is the 702 open line. We're taking your calls on 011-883-0702. I've been asking you about Donald Trump's announcement yesterday, the president of the US, that they're postponing these airstrikes on Iran's power plants. And I think the US president knows the kind of economic catastrophe that is going to ensue should they target those that important energy infrastructure. But now that has been postponed for 5 days because President Trump says they're having negotiations with someone that the U.S. believes is a top Iranian official. I've been asking you about that. Also, ActionSA raising concerns about DA ministers who work in government and still get paid by the party. That's a bit bizarre to me because people who work in government still work for their organizations. So if you're a DA minister, you're still a DA leader. So you still have responsibilities. So the party needs to remunerate you for working for the organization. But the ActionSA seems to believe that that is against the law. Mkolisi, what do you want to say about that? You're calling us from Pretoria. Good morning.
Yes, morning, man. Look, I suspect that the what we call ActionSA people may have a point. Number one, if you are a minister in the public office, you are getting paid a salary by our tax money, and you are working for us as members of the public. And if you're getting extra income, the key question there is, did you declare that extra income in Parliament? That's number one. If they declared it, fine. But the second question is the principle of following the money. Where did that money come from? Did this money come from private sector people who gave the money to the DA so that they can top up your salary and earn favors from you? To me, there's a question there that these DA members need to answer. Did they declare? Where did the money originate from to top up your salary as a public representative being paid a salary by behind the scenes, maybe other cat mattelers with a fairer complexion, then they earn favors, but the money is channeled through your party. Follow the money. Where does it come from?
All right. Olis in Pretoria, thank you so much for your thoughts. Here's some WhatsApp voice notes that have come through.
Good morning, Clem and your team. Clement, I think in an organization like the ANC, a general secretary do get a salary, but the chairman and the rest of the structures, they don't get any cent or a salary for that matter. So there is a difference when you are in government, you remain whatever a chairman in the ANC, because what I know, there's no perks being a chairman of the organization more than a secretary general. I'm stand for correction if that is possible from Max in Pretoria.
Hi, Clement. I'm glad you raised this issue of political parties paying their office bearers plus they're also receiving money from government. It's actually supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be like that because remember, when they start driving these state vehicles to attend to party political duties, we complain. So how are they supposed to cover those costs? Thank you, Andrew.
Morning, Clement. Just allow me to ask this maybe ignorant question. Aren't we supposed to declare extra earnings if we happen to work as public officials? And if that be so, if one is appointed as an MP, why is the party that he belongs to topping up his salary? And was that top-up taxed? That's just a question. Maybe it's out of ignorance. Thank you.
Hi, Clement. The technical answer is that traditionally the ANC has not allowed the Secretary General to take up a government position. It's always been a full-time position at Luthuli House. Unless they've changed the policy, that's what it's always been. Having said that, I think I take your broad point about whether or not ActionSA will be successful in their action. I'm not sure that they will. But what the DA leak has exposed, I think, for me, is the fact that the DA are just a bunch of politicians like all the others, like their partners in the GNU, like the politicians in the opposition bench. They're all susceptible to the allure of money. They are not special. They do not have the moral high ground. They are influenced by money as much as the next politician. So there's nothing special about them.
Okay, so the concern for me here is I note that the Constitution states that members of the executive may not undertake other paid work. That's pretty much clear. My concern here is, how do you then tell a political party that, hey, come work very hard to get votes and then come run government, but the minute you get into government, you are going to lose skills in your political party because you're running government? That just doesn't make sense to me. If you're a member of a political party, you're a leader of a political party, you don't just want to focus on government, because then you lose the responsibilities of being on the ground and making sure that in 5 years' time, South Africans are still going to vote for you. Like an ANC or a Democratic Alliance, these are big party machines. That still needs qualified, skilled politicians who are going to drive those political parties, who are going to make sure that the mandates and interests of those political parties are still advanced, whether in government or outside of government. So are we suggesting that the next time then that a political party, let's say the ANC, that has, let's say, a good president and a good SG and an efficient treasurer general, the minute those people get appointed into government positions because their skills are needed there, then the ANC then loses their skills, or the DA then loses their skills. It's like Jordan Hill Lewis. There are others who will argue that he's been an incredible mayor for the city of Cape Town. So now that he's going to become, likely at this conference next month of the Democratic Alliance, now that he's going to likely take the position of leader of the Democratic Alliance, you are now suggesting then what? He has to focus on that, on that leadership position, or focus on being the mayor of the city of Johannesburg and not necessarily get involved in the work of the organization. But what if the organization needs a leader like Jordan Hill Lewis? I don't know how you explain the issue of losing the skills just because you are in government, because the minute you start forgetting about the work the party needs to do, then you're not going to be in government for too long. It's 15 minutes now before 10 o'clock.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Okay, so you're calling from the East End. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Clement. I hope you're well. Yeah, my thoughts around Donald Trump, I think we're dealing with someone who's a pathological liar, and we're dealing with someone who will say anything he needs to do or say to calm the energy markets, right? So my worry is that I think what he's trying to do, he's scheming along with Israel, to do something over the weekend. So since this whole war has started, just notice how they always wait for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, to do something major. So I think something major is going to come over the weekend. He's just waiting for the energy markets to obviously close on Friday, and then an attack is going to come. So I honestly think Iran shouldn't actually trust anything that comes out of the Trump administration. The guy is obviously not in charge of anything. We can see that his advice is coming from Tel Aviv. Netanyahu are the ones that are in charge. So I don't know. I really, really think Iran shouldn't trust anything. They should keep their wits about them, because this is actually far from over. It's going to be a long time. That's why with us as South Africa, we need to look at what do we start doing from our side in future, to almost like insulate ourselves against these type of things. Because as much as we don't have our own oil, but maybe, having a refining capacity like what India has is something we need to look at developing.
Gogetso in the East Rand, thank you for your thoughts. More WhatsApps on 072-702-1702.
Good morning, Clement and the 702 lenders. Kannete, we don't listen to Ntate Donald Trump anymore. We know he doesn't say what he means. We've now seen that whatever he says is actually an opportunity for him to do something different. But also, slightly monagano wa gae ga o grente man. This is Emma from Pretoria.
Listen, I think in this case, what's his name, Donald Trump, what he's claiming. Well, we have known Donald Trump to lie every step of the way. In fact, I think you are right. He's looking for a way out of here and to save face. But being a liar, that has been established beyond all doubt. We all know that he is a liar.
Good morning, Clement Manyathela and 702 listeners. In my mind, there is no doubt that President Trump is looking for an exit strategy. The reason I'm saying this is because the USS Gerald Fox, the biggest carrier, is now back for maintenance and repairs. It has been 9 months at sea. The sailors are tired, the toilets are not working, so they do not have enough resources to carry on. Secondly, Iran is now hitting Israel every night. Missiles are going through and killing civilians in Israel. This thing cannot be sustained. Thirdly, the Gulf nations did not buy in the wedge that he was trying to build between themselves and Iran, because they realized that they are neighbors. Otherwise, they will be fighting amongst themselves on behalf of the U.S. And fourthly, is because of the interceptors, the missiles that they use to defend air defenses. They are needed in the UAE, in the Arabian countries. They are needed in Ukraine. They are needed in Israel. They are needed by the U.S. to protect their ships at the sea. So not enough of them is left. So they are starting to panic, because now Iran is only now starting to unleash some of its deadliest missiles. So yeah, it's an off-ramp. Thank you.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
It's 9 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's start with Tembisa, who's calling us from Germiston. Tembisa, what are your thoughts? Good morning.
Are you well, Clement?
I'm all right, man. Go ahead.
No, we're good. Look, the difference between what's happening in the DA and what happens in the ANC is that in the ANC, when you join voluntarily, and you join to be a volunteer. So you become a volunteer, but when the ANC deploys you to government, you only draw a salary from government, not from the ANC. The ANC doesn't top up anyone's salary. If you are an office bearer like the president, national chair, your office has a budget, not you. You are not topped up anything. Before, during your term, in whatever office you occupy, you do not draw a salary from the ANC. The ANC only pays its administrators, and the SG is the head of administration of the ANC. And the others, like the likes of the spokesperson, those are positions that have to be full-time. So those ones will draw a salary from the ANC, but they do not draw a salary from government
so
when they're occupying.
Okay, so what happens if someone is, so let's say Mahlengi, who is now the spokesperson. In fact, let me make it this way. Let me make a practical example that's more real. Remember the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry. What's his name? The Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry. that young chap, man.
Zugo.
Godlimbi, yes, Uzuko Godlimbi. Uzuko Godlimbi. If Zukuzo Godlimbi gets appointed as the spokesperson of the ANC, which he was, even though albeit on a temporary basis, what happens there then? Because that's a position that must be filled in the ANC. Does the ANC pay him for his responsibilities as a spokesperson, and while he also serves as deputy minister, or he does that at a voluntary level?
He's a volunteer first, so he does that voluntarily. Remember, he has a salary with government, and that's the salary that he gets. He's compensated by government for being the minister, deputy minister, whatever. But when it comes to doing ANC work, we are volunteers that do it voluntarily, because we joined it voluntarily to go and volunteer ourselves for the organization, for the party.
Yeah.
So in the DA, it's different when they're saying they are topping up salaries. And yet that person is getting a salary from government. That has to be be declared in council, government, or wherever.
Okay.
So that's the difference between the two.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tembisa, for that view. For clarifying that. Tembisa in Buhle Park. Thank you. Let's go to some WhatsApps.
Hi, Clement. Political parties also get what we call transfer funds, which is coming from government. So it means if one occupies the political position in their party and a position in government, they are getting paid twice, which is not good. So ActionSA is right.
Morning, Clement. I think we are somehow we are missing the point, Clement. The question is, did they declare? Because that's the question. Did they declare? Like the ANC, I can go and give Cyril Ramaphosa. But the question is, I can give Cyril Ramaphosa some gift. The question, did he declare those gifts or that money that is coming from his or her party? That's the question here. The question, did they declare? Did the DA MPs declare that they are getting some source of money from the DA? Yes, the Constitution is saying what you are saying now, and people are working hard for their constitution, for their parties. But the question is, did they declare? That is the real question.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Morning, Clement. This is Ncedisi here. Yeah, on the issue of Trump now saying he's in talks with the Iranian government, I think it's propaganda, Clement, because Trump projected power by giving Iran 48 hours. I mean, that is the delusion that Trump has, that, I'm giving you 48 hours to do this, and like a country at war with you is just going to comply. So when he realized that they are not going to comply and they would actually retaliate, he's now projecting as if they came begging. I don't think that ever happened. I think it's just Donald Trump showing how much he's out of touch with anything happening in that war.
Morning, Trump. Mark my words. I don't think this war is going to drag on after the end of next month, by the end of April, because the cost, not just financial, the political cost to the Trump administration is going to be critically significant. If you recall, America is heading towards the midterms, and if should the Republicans lose a lot in the midterms, there could be moves to impeach Trump. He has said it himself that they will find something to impeach him on. So he cannot risk continuing and further escalation of this war. Look at Israel now, going to bomb those energy infrastructure. Israel is just, I don't know if they've got something on America. Prince, but what view?
Morning, Clement. We're talking about Iran and the US. And Iran said the US didn't negotiate with them. And they are quite correct. The person who's negotiating with them is not a White House official. Kushner is Trump's son-in-law, but he is not a senator or a White House official, and he's negotiating with them. So yeah, read between the lines. And I don't always believe what the Iranians are saying, but they are probably saying it that way, because if you do catch them out, they'll say, yes, but it wasn't the White House who was negotiating with us, not the American government. It was a relation of the president. Thanks, Nick from Melbourne.